Hello. We're here. We're doing it. I have a big glass of water, and I have tea. I made myself some cranberry and pomegranate tea because that felt fitting for Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
Pomegranate feels... I know there's no pomegranate in the book, but pomegranate feels like an appropriate fruit.
Sure.
Hello, Isaac. Welcome in. Does the sound okay? Can everyone hear Sasha?
Testing. Can you hear me?
I might turn you up a little bit. Oh no, you're all the way up. I can't turn you up anymore. Oh well. You can hear her good?
Is my volume up on the Discord?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are talking about Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
I did not finish it. I've got about maybe 60 pages left. So I'll probably knock it out either tonight or tomorrow. But I did not finish it, so I can't talk about the ending. But I can talk about everything that happened between chapters 1 and chapters... I want to say...
Sasha, do your best Ryzen impression. Can
22?
you hear me now? Good.
Yeah, I got up to like chapter 23.
Hi,
Hello,
Lin.
Lin. We're talking about Wuthering Heights. So, shall I do a recap of the story?
Yeah, recap.
Okay. Alright, putting on some lip balm. To summarize the story, for people who have not read Wuthering Heights, we follow sort of a retelling of events from the perspective of a maid, Nellie, detailing to her new employer, Mr. Lockwood, the life of the man he is renting his abode from, Heathcliff. Because he met Heathcliff and sort of went, what the fuck is up with this guy? And then he stayed in a room and had a little ghost girl show herself to him in his dreams, and he like sawed her hand off and was like, what the fuck is up with this place? Like, he was very, ooh, what, this is strange. Welcome in, Goth Booty Goblin. We're doing a recap of the story. So he asked Nellie, and Nellie, having worked for, not necessarily the family, but like the estate for a very long time, tells him the story of Heathcliff and Catherine, who was the ghost girl, and sort of goes over all of the intricacies and complications of their relationship and how things ended up how they are, with Heathcliff taking revenge on Catherine's brother, and her husband, because he views them as being in the way of them having been happy together, as well as many, many other things, because Heathcliff was subjected to many unfairnesses from Catherine's brother.
Wait, say that word again.
Unfairnesses. That's not a word. I couldn't remember what the word I wanted was. Unkindnesses?
What are you saying?
Like, Catherine's brother was
like
not...
bullying.
Yeah, like, it wasn't fair. It was, like, bullying. Yeah, and unfairness.
Yeah.
Like, and, like, racial shit. Because Heathcliff isn't white. For all those who are tuning in, Heathcliff is not a white man.
Yeah, like discrimination and oppression, and they sought him out and bullied him. And
like classism, racism, all of the bad shit. We don't like... What is his name? I've forgotten his name.
Oh.
Her brother. Either way, he doesn't play a huge role. He leaves pretty early. He dies. His son's name is Harrington.
He has a wife. He has a wife that I really liked.
Yeah. His relationship with his wife was good, and then she died, and everything went downhill from there. Not that it was great to begin with, because he was always a racist little fuck. But, you know. But yeah, Heathcliff sets about taking revenge on all the people who did him wrong.
Hindley. Isn't that how you say it?
Isn't Hindley his son? No, Harrington's his son. There were a lot of characters.
Hindley and Catherine were siblings, and then Nellie was their friend.
I have a family tree.
And then Earnshaw was the family name.
Yeah, Earnshaw was the family name.
I don't remember the dad's name.
He doesn't have one.
His kids.
He's just Mr. Earnshaw.
Yeah, and then he brought home Heathcliff.
Yeah. And then the Lintons moved in at Thrushwood Cross at the Grange. And Catherine starts spending a lot of time with them. And Heathcliff doesn't like that because he feels very possessive over Catherine. The same way Catherine feels very possessive over Heathcliff. And it all falls to shit because he overhears Catherine talking about why she cannot marry Heathcliff. And so he leaves. He just goes away for an extended period, and Catherine marries Edgar, who I actually don't mind Edgar. I don't think he's great, but in terms of all of the other characters, he seems reasonable.
Fine. Yeah, he seems fine.
At least for the time period. And then Catherine has a baby and dies. Oh, Heathcliff marries Edgar's sister Isabella, and they have a baby, but she runs away. So, in theory, Heathcliff can't claim the baby.
Isabella runs away, not the baby.
Yeah.
Right?
She runs away with the baby.
Yeah. With the baby.
Yeah, she's pregnant when she runs.
Cool.
And then Catherine has a baby, but she dies in childbirth. And they name the baby Catherine, so conversations might get very confusing.
Can we call, for simplicity's sake, OG Catherine Kathy, and then baby Catherine Catherine?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, just
one or the other. One or the other. Because discussions of Wuthering Heights get very confusing for the fact that these two characters share a name.
Or we could call her daughter Catherine or something.
Either one works.
Mother, yeah.
And then Isabella dies, so he claims Linton, who is Isabella and Heathcliff's son, reclaims his son, and then starts working on trying to get Catherine, so Catherine Jr., to marry Linton so that he can claim her estates after her father dies. And he succeeds. They get married. I do know what happens after that. Linton dies. I don't have any details on it because I haven't read it, but I do know what happens. Linton dies. Catherine is very upset because she was coerced into marrying Linton. She did not want to marry him. But, Heathcliff was preventing her from going to see her very sick father. So she had to marry him. Heathcliff, man. Linton was a very sickly boy, so he dies. I think she starts teaching Harrington how to read, because really his only sin in this whole fucking book is that he cannot read. I feel bad for him. And then at some point later down the line, Catherine and Harrington run off together, and they get married. And that's what I know, because I haven't finished the book. Did you finish the book?
I did.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's a really good summary. Here's the thing with me. I finished the book. I pushed through it. I listened to it on an audiobook.
Yeah.
And I kind of like a lot. So a lot of it was in one ear and out the other. I will say that I enjoyed the first half of the book a lot more than I did the second half of the book.
See, I think I'm the other way around. I think I enjoyed the second half more than I enjoyed the first half. At least based on what I've read so far.
Let's talk about what we liked then. So you go ahead and talk about the second half.
I found Catherine
because I
Jr.
did not like the second half.
A lot more interesting than Kathy. And that's not to say Kathy isn't interesting. I think Kathy is one of the most interesting characters from the first half. I find her to be like is quintessentially a girl. Like the worst she did was be a girl. But I find Catherine more interesting because we get to actually see her. Like, it's not just we're told stories about her, we get to know her. Like, she is one of the first characters Lockwood meets. And I think it's very interesting to read about her and how she was in her youth compared to what we saw at Wuthering Heights when Lockwood first arrives. And, like, piece together what changed and what caused her to be the way she is now. Essentially, I think both of the Catherines are a lot more interesting than most of the other characters. It's just... I found myself getting very frustrated with the first half because there wasn't... Outside of Kathy... Are we calling her Kathy or Catherine?
Mom or daughter?
Mom.
Mom, Kathy. Yeah.
Okay. Outside of Kathy, there wasn't a lot going on to keep me interested. Like, Edgar was an okay character, but we didn't get a lot of him, I found, in the first half. We got a lot more of him in the second half as a father than we did in the first half as, like, a potential spouse. Isabella annoyed the shit out of me, so I didn't want to read about her. Heathcliff is interesting, but also I find he has zero redeeming qualities. And, like, I love myself an unlikable character, right? One of my favorite books is The Secret History, and none of those characters are likable. I love an unlikable character, but I find it really hard to enjoy reading about them when they have no qualities that you can admire. When there's, like, nothing to them where you're like, oh, well, they're a terrible person, but at least they're highly intelligent. They're a terrible person, but at least they're incredibly creative. Heathcliff is just manipulative. Like, he's just a bad person. And I think it's very interesting to see how he got there, because we can see why he is the way he is. Like, we know the abuse he suffered, but I found nothing in him to admire. And I wanted so badly to find something in him. Yeah, in Heathcliff.
Right.
I wanted so badly to see something in him that allowed me to like his character.
Yeah.
Like, not even that, like, I had to like him. I'm not saying I have to like him because he's an unlikable character. But I wanted something to admire. To be like, oh, well, he's terrible, but at least he has this. Is that he's just manipulative and cruel. And I think that's why I liked part 2 better, because instead of him being a, like, central character, he was the antagonist. So I didn't have to find something in him I admired.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Like, I mean, with the structure, normally when you write an unlikable character, the structure that I'm familiar with is that you set them up to have a balance of traits, because they're supposed to be like a whole person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, somebody who's an asshole to people might be really nice to, like, animals. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? And, like, then you can relate to them and like endear yourself to them, because you relate to a side of them that the author shows you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really agree with you that Heathcliff is written, it's in the text, to just be completely unlikable.
Yeah, and I think part of that is we're hearing the story from someone else's perspective, right? But Nellie, as much as Nellie is an unreliable narrator, I don't think she's someone who goes into a situation looking to dislike someone.
Well, here's the thing, is that I really think that if we were to get the book from a different perspective, like Nellie is not incentivized.
No.
So, like, she's not incentivized to be endearing, to be endeared to Heathcliff in any way, shape, or form. Like, she's a servant. She's not of the same class as the children that she plays with.
She's got no reason to speak about them kindly.
In a way, with Heathcliff being the target here, that gives somebody who's lesser than her. Because in this equation, she's the lowest rung on the ladder.
Yeah.
In this relationship. Like, she is a child, so she gets to run off and, like, play with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
But after she's done playing with them,
she
has to go back and, like, do her...
Like,
she has to go back and do her work.
Mm-hmm.
And then she also, like, is expected to, like, do what they say. And you see Kathy several times play upon, like, the dynamic of that relationship and actively act terribly towards Nellie several times because she is not of the same class as the kids. So I think for Nellie, she's really like I said, she's really incentivized to look down on Heathcliff and to reinforce that dynamic so that she's not the lowest rung on the ladder here. There's somebody lesser than her that people can pick on and bully and belittle, and that benefits her because then she's not the target.
I think that's a fair perspective. I think it's a very complicated dynamic because, like, when they're young, there is very much that, like, he is below her in that he's not necessarily a servant, he's just there. But then he becomes her employer later, which I think complicates it in that he is it's like he's a very complicated dynamic.
His status is never defined.
Yeah.
It is a complicated dynamic, and his status is never defined. Like, in plain English.
Like, I went through, one of the things I was tabbing was class, wealth, and status to be like, what is actually going on here? Because, like, Heathcliff both admires the servants and looks down on them. Like, they are not of the same status he is, but also he very clearly puts weight into their work because he's done their work before. So it's, like, very interesting to be, like, to try and, like, work out where exactly he stands in the, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Ecosystem of class within the society. Because also, the Heights doesn't function, like, the Moors are functioning in a slightly different way compared to, like, other areas because it is so isolated. Like, the reason that a maid was allowed to run around and play with the children is because there weren't other children here. Why would a maid be allowed to play with the kids otherwise? Like, I think there was a lot of really, not necessarily subversive, but adjusted expectations based around the fact that they're in a place that's quite isolated from everywhere else. I think we see that.
Anything you liked about it
in the book?
Yeah.
Anything I liked?
You said you liked the second half.
I like the second half because I think Catherine is very interesting.
The daughter.
The daughter. I think we see a lot of things that were set up in the first half reflected back in a way that's quite interesting, in that she is elements of her mother, but in like the best possible way. Like, Catherine is not, and I think that's part of her father as well, in that he had a lot of those very positive traits that we see in Catherine as well. Like, I was reading it this morning, and there was a bit about what Nellie said about Catherine, about how she could not imagine anyone disliking Catherine. And that linked back in my mind to something Kathy said, in that she thought that it would not be possible for them to quarrel if they both liked her. And she could not possibly imagine someone not liking her. And I think that parallel between the two women, between the two Catherines, is what made me like the second half better, in that I wasn't just stuck with this first half with all of these characters that I could not, for the life of me, find something in them to admire. I get to see it reflected back on a character that I do admire. Like, there are parts of Catherine, that's the one we're going, of Catherine that I do admire, in that, like, she shows so much empathy for the people around her. Like, she feels so much empathy for Linton, and, like, for an extent, she feels such empathy for Harrington? Harrington. Where is the name? Let me get my list of names to make sure I'm using the right name. Yeah, Harrington. She feels a lot of empathy for him. And when she meets Heathcliff, and he's telling his version of the story, which is highly manipulative, she feels empathy for Heathcliff, and she feels empathy for her father. And that I admire greatly. And I think that's why I was enjoying the second half more, because it was focused on her.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, she is a much more three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
I did not care for her at all.
That's fair.
What I liked about this book is that I really like the opening. I like the way that the author, it's Emily who wrote this one, right?
Yes. This one's Emily.
Yeah, Emily wrote this. This was her only published work. Yeah, so I really enjoy the way that Emily describes the moors, and that the environment, like kind of how you were saying, the environment of Wuthering Heights, their isolation, the environment around them, like, in itself is kind of its own character.
Yes.
And it plays a huge role in the story.
Yes.
It shapes the trajectory of the novel in a way that I find, like, I think it's an excellent tool that the writer utilizes to kind of set the theme and the tone and the mood. Starting from the very beginning, where we have the tenant coming in to this situation, and he seems like a really nice guy. What's the name of the tenant? Yeah, Lockwood coming into the situation, and he seems like a stand-up dude. He seems like just a normal man, and he's come into this really weird, toxic environment, and I think the Moors reflect that. In that this setup, this whole situation with Heathcliff, with Kathy, with her brother, with the inheritance, with the neighbors, it's all very toxic, and I really don't see an outcome where anybody within the story would have been better off. They're all trapped.
Yes.
In this toxic environment. And I think that Emily just does a phenomenal job of making you feel that, like, from the get-go.
Yes.
That, like, oh, this is not a place where, like, good things happen. This is all going to be terrible. And I think it's a brilliant use of like you were saying, the environmental storytelling. It's a wonderful device to kind of set the mood and get the reader in the right mind frame, like, for this story. And then I absolutely loved the ghost scene with tiny Catherine's baby ghost hand. Stuff. Horrifying. So scary. And when this happens, like when this scene happens in the story, we don't really know like what's going on, like because we're seeing things happen through the eyes of Lockwood, who has no idea what's happening. He's just trapped in this terrible place with horrible people, and then he ends up in this room, like you said, and then he has this nightmare, and this ghost shows up, and
And he
then
was reading her diaries. He was reading her
and
diaries.
when he turns to the master of the house and is like, oh my god, like this horrible fucked up shit happened, like Heathcliff turns to the fucking ghost and is like, haunt me, ho. I'm right here. I'm right here. Like, it's insane. But so like in that moment, like I just really enjoyed it. I really felt like, so there are moments, this is not an easy read.
It's not an easy
read.
read.
It's a difficult book to read.
And I don't think it's necessarily a bad book either. I think there are moments in it that are very good. Like you described, the opening is very strong.
I found myself really tuning out a lot, listening to the audiobook of this. But it was the only way I could get through it.
Yeah.
I thought the narrator of the audiobook that I had, which I got from my public library, did a really good job of giving each character a distinct voice and really using the inflection of tone to try and explain like what was happening, because the prose is rough.
Did you ever understand anything Joseph was saying?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Good.
He's the rude,
yeah, he's the
horseman or whatever.
A lot of
he's
people complain in the written text about not understanding what he was saying, and I think it's because she was using she was very good at writing down the dialect rather than the words, and I think a lot of people struggle with reading it. I think you just gotta say it out loud. I think it has to be said out loud. Or like you need to like have a very strong, like people think in either words or images, and you need to have a very strong voice in your mind of the accent that she was writing, because she was writing down the Yorkshire Moors accent, and it is very, very thick.
Yeah, no, it was great. I enjoyed him a lot, actually. I thought he was a lot of fun. He was an asshole too.
Yeah.
But he was great. So I really loved that.
But he was an asshole with
then
principles.
I really liked the dog bite scene. I thought that was great. I liked the suspense.
Yeah.
I think Emily is a really great writer. I think, and we're going to talk about this. I have a lot of thoughts about like the type of story she was telling, and I have some theories as to like why.
Yeah.
But it's just not my type of story. It's like a really depressing, sad. It's about toxic people trapped in a toxic situation, and it's about how that cycle like keeps people stuck. And while that is an interesting story, it's not my favorite type of story to read. I didn't find any romance in it. That's pretty much what I liked about it. I did enjoy. Oh, and one more thing I liked. I did like Kathy. I read her as a woman who's suffering from ADHD, and I think she would have thrived as a man.
Yes.
In this world, but because she was a woman, like she was trapped, just like everybody in this book. Like it's literally just about people being trapped,
literally,
in their circumstances and the environment and the fog. Yeah, and the moors. But I did really like Kathy. I really liked how forceful she was and how she gave like no fucks.
No, I think of the characters in the first half, not including Lockwood, because he's not really a character.
Lockwood's really boring. He's just a device.
Yeah, he's really not. Boring. He can be interesting at times, but we don't have enough of him to have him be interesting. Like he's just there.
But that's what I liked. That's pretty much it. I liked Kathy as a child. I didn't like her as a grown up. I liked Kathy as a child. I liked I liked the opening scenes. I liked the ghost scene. And that's pretty much it. I hated the ending. I didn't like the way that it ended. It just sucked. That part sucked. But yeah. So like you didn't miss much because it doesn't end well for anybody.
No, I know. I will finish it, but
let's talk about what we
the pacing is really not great. I found.
Right. Okay, pacing.
Let's start with pacing.
Pacing sucks.
Because
pacing sucks.
I feel
it's
like
all over the place.
It's 20% too long, which wouldn't be an issue if she had, if it wasn't like nothing's happening right here and then everything happens all at once and then nothing is happening again and then everything happens at once.
Exactly.
There were a lot.
I felt myself tuning out and like zoning out, and then shit would happen and I'd be like, oh my god, wait, what just happened? And I have to rewind for like 20 minutes because I was not listening.
And it moved on so fast from the shit that happened. Like, Catherine died, and then they moved on. And not Catherine, Kathy. Kathy died, and then they, talked about it for 2 pages, and then they moved on, and they were talking about Catherine and, like, her growing up. And I'm like, I would have loved...
It's a really terrible job of hunting the narrative. Like, I hate it.
Like, if Kathy's death is so important, why did we only talk about it for 2 fucking pages?
It should matter. Like,
it should.
More.
She's named after her mother. Why does she not talk about her mother more?
Why doesn't she ask questions about her mom? She didn't know her very well.
Like, why does she meet Heathcliff and, like, not have any questions because they grew up together? Like,
yeah, like, well, Heathcliff isn't a forthcoming man.
No.
I'd be scared to ask him stuff, too.
But also, like, there's no implication that Catherine is curious.
No.
As much as I love her character and love her empathy,
that pissed me off.
I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her empathy in contrast to her, like, not being super bright. She's got so much empathy, she's got such a big heart, and she's so fucking stupid. But she's got no curiosity.
The difference between Kathy and Catherine, I think the reason I enjoyed Kathy was because she was a woman who struck me as being very vibrant in character. Yes. Not a nice person.
She was big.
Not a kind person. But she had a lot of spirit. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of spirit, a lot of curiosity, like, a drive. I really see, like, a lot of Leo in her, in that, like, her, like, being propelled. And this is why I read her as a woman with ADHD or some other type of neurotypical thing going on. Like, being propelled, almost compelled to search out, like,
a meaning. Like, she's looking for something to give her life meaning.
Well,
but she's
like,
a woman, so she can't.
Sensory input. Yeah, like, sensory input. Like, she's driven to, like, do things. You know, like, I watched this TikTok where it was 2 people going on a walk, and it was one person, and the ADHD person was like, where are we going? And the other person's like, well, we're just walking. And it's like, you mean we don't have a goal? Like, we don't have an end point?
Yeah.
Like, what's the purpose of this walk? And that is really how I sum up Catherine's personality, is that she's, like you're saying, meaning, purpose. She is driven, she is compelled, she is searching,
I think,
for something.
And
that's where the ADHD part of, like, I relate to that a lot. I really... Not that I have that, but, like, I really relate to that a lot. I see that in her, and I was like, yeah, girl, don't let nobody, like, dim your shine. Because she fought for a really long time.
Would not accept her lot in life, and I admire that.
Yeah,
and I think...
I really liked that about her. I thought that was great.
Okay, so, Kathy's death. I have thoughts.
Right.
Okay. And it relates into this.
Wait. All right, 1 second. Are we done talking about what we hated? Because we just left off.
We're not.
Pacing. Okay.
It just relates into what we're talking about with her, like, seeking things out. So I, like, it's in my brain as a thought that connects to this. And I think part of what led to her passing was that she couldn't attain what she needed. Like, the society that was built, right, for her to live in, was so juxtaposed to what she needed because she ended up in the Grange, right?
Yeah, they're trapped, which brings back to, like, that they're trapped. She's trapped, that all the characters are trapped here,
in the societal expectation of what a woman is meant to be in their age. And she, I think, on top of all of the medical stuff that likely happened because women dying in childbirth was very common, I think part of it is her soul was fucking dying because, 1, the 2 people who mattered the most in her life couldn't get along. 2, the society was set up directly to juxtapose the fact that she wanted something. She needed input, she needed drive, she needed something to push her, and everything was telling her that she couldn't fucking do that.
Right, because women couldn't get a job, they
Yeah.
couldn't pursue a career, they couldn't study, they couldn't learn. Like all you had to do, all you were supposed to do was like push out, especially if you were a woman of class. You were
Yeah.
supposed to like either just be a servant like Nellie. At least Nellie had something.
Yeah.
That's another point. I'm gonna write that down and we'll come back to that. But yeah, so I agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah, her soul was dying, and I think it's
her death,
very. I have a lot of thoughts around the fact that she was not buried in the graveyard. And
which is also very
she
sad.
was not. I don't think it is sad. I think it's very true to herself. I think if she had been buried in the graveyard, it is a representation of all that had oppressed her. And instead, she was reclaimed by this wild moor of where she lived and made up her soul. Like, I think she had such a strong connection to the moors, and that's why in her like final days she was constantly thinking about Wuthering Heights and her home, because her home was more directly connected to the environment she was in than the Grange. And I don't think to her Heathcliff was a person. I think he was a representation of that. And I think her being buried not in the graveyard is her finally returning to where her soul was meant to be. Like, she was wild. She didn't want to be in this sort of structured, you have to do this situation. So to me, her not being buried in the graveyard is just a culmination of that like final point of her character, that she is in a society that wasn't built for her.
Yeah, I like that. But I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really interesting point. I do agree with you that like the only time she really felt like she was able to be herself was when she was with Heathcliff, like out on those moors. And so I think that that totally tracks. The additional point that I have around not being buried in the graveyard, the part that I think is really sad is that the sad part for me, number one being, you know, that she died like so young,
Yeah.
and you know, in childbirth and stuff, but like Kathy was a person who never fit in with her family, and I think in a way not putting her in the graveyard is like a way of saying that she'll, even in death, like she can't, she is still like that, tied with like the ghost hand child scene, even in death, like she can't find peace, she can't fit in, she doesn't belong.
Yeah. I
You
think
know what
it's
I'm
also
saying? She
that,
like,
like
and she
this.
never will, and she
No.
never will, and in a and that breaks my heart because like her family couldn't even like see her as her even in death. And
Yeah.
that's so sad. Like, so she doesn't even get to be with her family
No. She's like
once
always going
this
to be the
horrible
other.
life. Yeah, she's always othered. They can't even, her daughter, like, we were talking earlier about how, like, Catherine never asks about her mom because her mom doesn't have a gravestone, or
Yeah.
she's
She's
not in the
buried.
family graveyard.
Catherine doesn't know
Catherine
where to
has
look
no
for her.
place. Catherine has no place to come and be with her. She can never be, because like, so for my family, like we have a family plot, and when I am in Phoenix, it's always like, oh, you have to go see Nana and Tata. Oh, you have to like go and be with them, and like we, like it's a ritual in my family to like decorate that place and
Yeah.
like during the holidays and to go there and to be with them and to like have the kids play there and stuff, and that her not being, I get the point that you're making. I think it is really valid, and I think it is really true to
I
Kathy's
I
character,
honestly think both
but
things
it
can be true.
robs, right, no, like they
Yeah.
are simultaneously. It also fundamentally robs her family of being able to celebrate her life.
And like it's very interesting because we see Edgar, and this is like one of the few issues I have with Edgar is that he doesn't celebrate his daughter on her birthday,
I'd see
right?
Side CJ
Hi,
went into your chat
CJ.
stream.
We're talking about books.
Okay.
Welcome in. But he doesn't celebrate his daughter on her birthday. She's just left to her own devices because he knows where Kathy is buried, and he's spending the day with his wife. But he doesn't take his daughter?
It's fucking weird.
It's like
I
one
hate
of
them
the
all.
times where I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay, so can we bring it back to other
Yes.
things we disliked?
Yes. Sorry,
so
I
we
got on a
have
tangent.
pacing. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. I love a tangent. I just want to keep us on track because there
Yes.
are specific things that I do want to talk about, and if I keep us like on
We'll get there.
track, we'll get there.
We talked about pacing.
I'm just bringing it. I'm just bringing it back to the topic.
What
at
else
hand.
don't we like?
So pacing. What else don't we like? Okay, so we totally both hate the pacing.
Yeah.
I feel like it made me miss so many miss so many great moments because I was like being lulled to sleep
Yeah.
by the horrible pacing. Okay, another thing that I hated. Oh my god, I just don't like Heathcliff.
No, because he sucks.
I just don't like, and I have reasons. Like I have. Okay, so you tell me why you hate him, and then I'll tell you why I hate him.
Heathcliff is an incredibly manipulative person, and I feel I would have enjoyed his character more if I was able to see him use that in a way that wasn't just to fuck over everyone. Like, he specifically goes out of his way to make sure Harrington doesn't receive an education. He goes out of his way to make Isabella's life fucking miserable. He goes out of his way to use his son to manipulate everyone else around him. He hates Edgar for no real valid reason beyond the fact that Edgar married Catherine, and was of a higher class than him. I wish there was a way we saw, because I find myself really admiring characters who are incredibly intelligent. And Heathcliff clearly has to be intelligent to do all of the shit that he's doing. Right? But I don't see it. I just see him being a fucking asshole. So I don't like him. And I can't find anything in him to admire.
Coming on to that, okay, I agree with you. I don't like Heathcliff at all. I think he's a piece of shit.
He sucks.
And it's a huge, okay, but hear me out. I have a reason for why he is written like this. He's just not written very well. He's not utilized very well as a character within the story. I will say that the scene where he goes into Kathy's room and like begs her to haunt him really moved me and tricked me into thinking
he was gonna
that
be
there
right?
was gonna be a side to him that I would have been like, oh, okay, this man's a piece of shit, but like his love is trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him, love looks like toxicity.
Yeah.
If he's abusing the fuck out of you, it means he loves you, kind of thing. I really thought that's where this was gonna go. No. I don't think it just wasn't. It was too much subtext. It wasn't there in the writing.
No.
And here's the thing. So Heathcliff is a character. He is a man. He is, I'm guessing, a bastard child. He is a person of color. And I just don't think Emily Bronte, is that the author?
Yeah.
I just don't think Emily knew what she was doing.
No.
I just don't think I think she was kind of blinded by her own racism and her own like just naivety.
Yeah.
About
because she also was very isolated
and villains. Yeah. I just don't think she had the skill to write this type of character well.
Yeah.
I think she wrote him for the time that she was in, and I think Heathcliff is exactly what he is supposed to be, like for that type of person,
Right.
like in the society she was living in. Like
Yes. I
in the
think that
way
would
that
make a
like,
lot of
oh,
sense.
if you see a black man on screen and he's like, in today's TV, right? You see a black man
Mm-hmm.
on screen, you're like, oh, he finna die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in a horror film, like he
Yeah.
finna be taken out
He's gonna
first.
die first.
Like I
Yeah.
literally think that's what's happening in the novel. So in
Huh?
a way, justice for Heathcliff, because he was
Yeah.
just done dirty by the author and the narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because like I really did feel tricked. That pissed me off. I really did feel tricked by that ghost scene.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's capable of feeling. We just don't get to see any of it.
And like I
And it's annoying.
wish
It pissed me off.
I wish there was more with Catherine's ghost. With Kathy's ghost. Because I think it shows us a side of Heathcliff that would be far more interesting than what we get with him manipulating Catherine. Because when we get him manipulating Catherine, that's all he's doing. He's just manipulating her. And I think it would be so
Just
much
being a
more
dick.
interesting to see this desperate side of him who is desperately trying to get Kathy to haunt him because he feels so much guilt, but also like possession. Like she is his. She should haunt
Yeah.
him. And instead
Like-
she's like, no, I'm not going to haunt you. I'm going to haunt other people.
Right. And like there is subtext, but it's not in the
No.
text. It's not on the page.
And I
It's
think-
not going into my ears. And I was like, come on now. Because there's a difference between what is inferred and what is written on the page.
Yes.
And like a book is a piece of art. It's open to interpretation. And like all kinds of people have interpreted this story all type of ways. And I'm over here like, yeah, I'm really just not trying to take this novel at face value
Yeah.
and not
I think there's
projecting.
so many opportunities
not there.
where she could
It's just
have
not
shown
there.
us that like to be loved by Heathcliff is to be abused by him. I think there was a lot of opportunities she had to show us that through
Yeah,
Harrington because
exactly,
it's clear to some
exactly.
extent that Heathcliff likes Harrington, that he finds him funny, but not that he cares about him. That I think he could have shown us that through Isabella, in that we see Heathcliff abuse her and abuse her dog, and the fact that she still goes off and marries him is wild after he tried to kill her dog. Crazy.
Talk about being trapped. I think Isabella's the real victim here.
She's annoying, but like again, her worst crime is that she is a girl. It's the same thing with Catherine. The worst crime she is that she's a girl. She annoys me because I see parts of myself in her, right? Like it's not an annoyance like I feel with Linton, because Linton pissed the shit out of me because he's whiny and won't do anything for himself. Again, the worst crime Isabella and Kathy committed in the society they are in is that they are girls. They are young women who have been isolated and manipulated by the men around them. That is their crime. Like they definitely don't annoy me to the extent that other characters piss me off. Heathcliff just fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's not great.
He
Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I didn't enjoy the story.
no.
I don't like the way it ended. It just seems like all the dudes get whatever they want, and then even when they get it, they're unhappy with it because
They didn't get it
the
the way
women
they
are all
wanted.
dead. The women are all dead. Yeah, like they're still unhappy with it. No, like, and a lot of time, like, here's the thing. They don't know how to articulate what they want. They don't know how to ask for what they want. They don't know how to talk about it. They want people to mind read and deliver it to them perfectly on a silver platter. And when people can't do that, they get mad, and then those people die, and then they're like, oh, and they feel guilty for being total dicks.
Yep. They're just...
And I don't feel bad for them.
No, I don't feel bad
It's
for
just not- it's just-
Heathcliff. I don't feel bad.
It's not a story. It's not
I
a
don't
story
even
I enjoyed reading.
really feel bad for Edgar. Like,
No.
I don't. I feel bad for Catherine. I feel bad for Nellie.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Isabella and Kathy.
Yeah.
But I don't feel
Yeah.
bad for Heathcliff. I don't feel bad for Edgar. I don't feel bad for Linton.
No, because these men are in positions of power. They don't have to be like this. They can literally be different.
To an extent, I feel bad for Harrington because he is. There is so much he could be that he's not because of his circumstances, because of Heathcliff. But at the same time, I'm like, you matter so little to the overarching story beyond the fact that, like, you can't read and you're the next character that Catherine marries. Like, he really didn't play a role until, like, the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of just being a vehicle for showing us that Heathcliff sucks. Like, I feel like he could be a very interesting character and isn't because, as you said, Emily Bronte was writing a character for the time of what she thought a black person was like or a Romani person was like, because we never really get a full articulated idea of what race Heathcliff's background is.
That's another thing I dislike is we just don't ever get concrete answers about so many things. We never find out if Heathcliff is like a bastard child.
And like
we never find out, like it's just like, okay, I guess we're just taking this at face value, which I guess is a way of like putting us in the shoes of the character, because like in the characters, because this is a society where people don't talk about things or ask questions, and you just kind of have to be like, all right, I guess.
To an extent, I understand why Heathcliff remains so unknown, because he's meant to be the other. Like, we're not meant to know anything about him. Wait, I'm looking something up because I didn't actually take notes on this, but I think it would be interesting to get your thoughts on. Because we're talking about Heathcliff now and the fact that we never get any actual evidence.
Yeah, so let's move on to character analysis then. If we're done talking about things that we hate.
Yeah.
And we'll start analyzing Heathcliff's character.
There's this interesting theory that I came across as I was Googling things about this book, that people think Heathcliff and Cathy might actually be half siblings. That Heathcliff is actually Mr. Earnshaw's bastard son.
Bastard. Yeah.
Which,
that's the vibe I got for sure.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation.
I think it very much could be a case, because why are you bringing in this random orphan off the street?
Yeah, and then why is he inheriting?
Oh, he didn't inherit anything, but he was, like, welcomed in and given things. Like, why did you educate an orphan from the streets that you have no connection to?
Yeah.
And then there's, like, the similarities between Cathy and Cathy and Heathcliff's personalities, in that they're both very, like, strong-headed and, like,
insane
mesh and, like, behave like siblings. Like, ignoring the fact that they are in love with each other, which, if it is the case that they are biological, there's a lot of cousin.
I don't really get romantic.
No,
I really don't even get romantic love from Heathcliff. I get weird obsession.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily romantic.
Control. I get like narcissistic control.
Yeah.
I don't really get like love from him.
No.
I don't think it's a love story.
It's not.
I do think that they're half siblings.
I
do think they're related.
I think it's certainly a case where it could be. It's not in text enough for us to be able to say definitively they are half siblings, but I think it is very easy to say that they are not romantically connected to each other, because I don't think it's romance. I think it's obsession. I think it's a type of love, but I don't think it's romantic. I think they're just very...
And
they're all consumed
100%.
by each other.
100%. And then I really, looking at the scene where he begs the ghost to hunt him, I didn't even see that as like a romantic thing.
No.
Like he just misses her. Like
Mm-hmm.
when somebody you care about dies, you miss them. And because
Because
Kathy's not buried in the graveyard, there's no place for him to like go and be with her.
what is that line? The like really really famous line where Catherine is talking about how he is her. Like,
I don't know. I'll pull it up.
let me find the quote.
All right. While you're looking that up, I am gonna read
Here it is, I think.
from the ghost scene.
Mm.
I have it. I wrote it down because I really liked where it says here. We buried him to the scandal of the whole neighborhood as he wished. Earnshaw and I, the sexton, and 6 men to carry the coffin, comprehended the whole attendance. The 6 men departed. When they had let it down into the grave, we stayed to see it covered. Harriton, with a streaming face, dug green sods and laid them over the brown mold himself. At present, it is as smooth and verdant as its companion's mounds, and I hope its tenant sleeps as soundly. But the country folks, if you ask him, would swear on the Bible that he walks. There are those who speak to having met him near the church and on the moor, and even within this house. Idle tales, you'll say, and so say I, yet that old man by the kitchen fire affirms he has seen 2 on 'em looking out over his chamber window on every rainy night since his death. And an odd thing happened to me about a month ago. I was going to the Grange one evening, a dark evening, threatening thunder, and just at the turn of the heights, I encountered a little boy with a sheep and 2 lambs before him. He was crying terribly, and I suppose the lambs were skittish and would not be guided. "What's the matter, my little man?" I asked. "There's Heathcliff and a woman yonder under Snab," he blubbered. "I daren't pass 'em. I saw nothing, but neither the sheep nor he would go on, so I bid him take the lower road down. He probably raised the phantoms from thinking, as he traversed the moors alone, on the nonsense he'd heard his parents and companions repeat. Yet still I don't like being out in the dark now, and I don't like being left by myself in this grim house. I cannot help it. I shall be glad when they leave it, and shift to the Grange." "They're going to the Grange, then?" I said. "Yes," answered Mrs. Dean, "as soon as they are married, and that will be on New Year's Day." "And who will live here, then?" "Why, Joseph will take care of the house, and perhaps a lad to keep him company. They will live in the kitchen, and the rest will be shut up for the use of such ghosts as choose to inhabit it," I observed. Ooh. Yeah, it's really good. So this is a scene, this is a scene later on in the story,
Yeah,
but I really
I've not
liked
gotten
it.
to that scene yet.
Yeah, I really liked it. This isn't the scene I was talking about in the book where Kathy Earnshaw grabs Mr. Lockwood's hand
it's a
through
different
window.
scene. There's
Scary.
a lot of ghosts.
But this is still, but like, it's interesting to me that it's not just Heathcliff and the people at Wuthering Heights that are haunted. It's everybody.
It's everyone.
Because I think it's all the toxicity here, and it's about the cycle where it's like trapped. Anyway,
and the Moors reclaim
I wrote that down.
Like the Moors are reclaiming the people that belong to them. I think if we take it to a more like supernatural element of like people are seeing ghosts, the Moors are reclaiming the characters in the story that belong to them. They are reclaiming Kathy and Heathcliff because they belong to the Heights.
So fucking creepy.
Edgar doesn't belong to the Heights. They don't want him.
I listened to it like 5 times because I was like, the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What was really happening?
Here's the quote that I have about... So this is said by Catherine about Heathcliff. "He is more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. If all else perished and he remained, I should still continue to be. And if all else remained and we were annihilated, the universe would turn to a mighty stranger. He's always, always in my mind, not as a pleasure to myself, but as my own being." So theoretically, weird. That if we were saying that Heathcliff and Kathy are related, she is saying they are made of the same thing.
Yeah, I think they're related. And I think they knew it.
Oh yeah.
I think she knew it. I think this, because nobody ever talked about it.
No.
But this to me reads that we are family.
Mm.
It doesn't come
Yeah.
off as romantic to me.
And that's wild when you look at how the story has been interpreted over and over and over and over as a very romantic story, when it's really not at all. Like, there's very little in this that feels like romance.
I really think it's about about a pair of siblings who are two halves of the same whole.
Mm.
And like the tragedy about their relationship is not they couldn't be together because of class or whatever, but that like they were robbed of the type of relationship that they should have had growing up alongside each other as brother and sister, because they couldn't have that because of the differences between them. And
Yeah.
and that ties into my tangent that I really think that Emily Bronte, when she was writing about Catherine and Heathcliff, she was writing about herself and her own brother. Like, I don't think it's romantic. And her brother Branwell, who was an alcoholic,
Right.
and who she and her sisters were forced to care for and like nurse and take care of. And he, like, because, you know, like being an alcoholic, like he got really ill, obviously, and he couldn't drink. And then when he got sober, he had hallucinations. So I think Heathcliff is her brother, which is literally like what's happening in this story. I think that's
Yes.
what Emily was
Yes.
writing about. She was writing about her brother and her relationship to him.
Yeah. And I
Or
think
maybe she was writing about, like, it's kind of a pseudo, like, she's like, I want to love him, but like he's an addict, and you can't have a good relationship with an addict.
And
You know what I'm saying? I really think it's about addiction.
I think so much of Emily's work is never fully fleshed out to us as the reader, because she herself couldn't talk about what her inspirations were, because women didn't write. Women didn't publish works. Like, they wrote under a pseudonym. So realistically, she could never speak with anyone or publish anything explaining what the purpose of the text is. Whether or not it was romantic or otherwise, she couldn't sit and be like, well, actually, the character is based on my brother.
Right. And then she was still, while she was writing this novel, she was still living with her brother and her sisters and her dad, like in that house, and like dealing with this. This is her lived experience.
Yeah.
And of course, when you write about your family and you still have to live with them and interact with them and like have relationships with them, and they knew she was writing, they knew about her books, like all the sisters wrote together, and of course she couldn't come out and be like, oh yeah, this is
It's
about,
actually
like,
our brother.
obviously they knew, but this is Branwell, you know what I'm saying? Like, she could, you know what I'm saying? So I do think she wrote about the abuse and the addiction, and she turned her brother into a person of color, into a black man, so
again,
that
I
she
think
could
we
make him a
also-
villain and absolve herself like of that guilt.
And we also see parts
Around
of her
being
brother
honest about-
in what's his name again? I keep forgetting his name. In Hindley, because Hindley is an addict.
The elder brother. Yeah,
Hindley is an addict.
yeah.
He's a gambler. He literally gambles his whole life away after his wife dies. I think a lot of the male characters in this book, but in relation to the ones related to Kathy, are reflections of her family. All the characters in Wuthering Heights, the location, not the book, are reflections of her family and her lived experiences. I think the Lindens represent the outside and what is other to the Moors. Because the Brontes' lived experience is the Moors. They were born there, they grew up there, they received all of their education there. So Wuthering Heights, the location, is her life. Which again, linking it back to what I was talking about before with the Moors reclaiming the people that belong to the Moors, it reclaims Catherine in a way that I think Emily perceives as the lived experience of people who grew up where she was living. Like, that is her experience with the environment around her, that things are quiet and drab and isolated, and the natural environment claims people. You either belong there or you don't. And I think it's very easy to see.
You can't force it.
No. Like, it's very
Which is
easy.
so interesting. Which is so interesting because she's writing about this force of nature that cannot be controlled. And yet we see characters within the novel, all they want to do is like control something.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's the role of addiction. Is like, it's ultimately trying to manage and control things that you have no business being in charge of. Like people's feelings and thoughts and what they choose to do with their lives. Like, that's really what the abuse... That's really what addicts are striving for. They're trying to gain control of things that they ultimately powerless to manage, like their addiction.
Yeah, I had a thought about that in terms of Catherine, in that during the period where both her father and Nellie were very sick, Nellie told Catherine not to go to the Wuthering Heights. You cannot go, do not go, and then Catherine was sneaking out when Nellie was not there to, like, take care of her, to go and see Linton. And, like, why are you going out into this force of nature that will kill you? Like, the whole reason Lockwood has to stay at Wuthering Heights is because he cannot go to the Grange because he will die. Because the weather is so bad. Why the fuck are you going in the middle of the night to see your cousin when nobody knows where you're going? Except for the stable hand.
That's so fucking dangerous. And like in the first scene, in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Where Linton's like, can somebody walk me back? I'ma die.
Lockwood is like,
everybody's
I cannot.
No.
No.
They're like, no. Good luck. Like,
no, Lockwood is
Heathcliff like, doesn't even want him to stay there.
No, he's just
like,
renting it out.
Stay here.
He's like, I'm just renting it out for money. Because I inherited all of this land because I forced my niece to marry my son.
Creepy.
Like, what the fuck was his end goal?
And I think it's this story is a good outlet for a lot of that frustration. I think the point is to leave the reader feeling really confused and stressed out and with no answers, because I'm pretty sure that's how Emily felt about all of this shit.
Do you think that's why they only ever, when they make adaptations of the book, why they only ever adapt the first half? Because the second half just leaves you feeling confused and unsure of what's going on.
Right. Well, you know, because I think Emily was writing about the abuse of having an addict in your life. She's writing about the abuse that she suffered at the hands of her brother. And the thing is, like, having been in a relationship with an addict myself for years, if you do not get out, things do not go well.
No.
It kills you.
Yeah.
It kills you. They kill themselves. They destroy everything around them. Like, it spirals and snowballs and just gets, like, really, really bad. And that's what she's writing about. And that's what's happening in the story. You know, like, there is no happy ending. I think, honestly, like, that's why I hated this story so much, because it's about people who are trapped and they never get out.
Yeah.
And this is about, like, she's trying to give it the angle of, like, an outside observer. Like, because when you're in the toxic shit, you kind of become, like, the coping mechanism to survive it is you stop seeing it.
Yeah. Like nose blindness.
And so, like, that's why the story opens up with this tenant coming in and being like, what the fuck? And we're, like, thrown into this. That's what happens to us as the reader. Like, we're thrown into this, and initially we're like, oh my God, this is such trash. This is so abusive and toxic and awful. And then as we spend more time there, we start getting that nose blindness and being sucked into the toxicity. Trying to, along with Kathy and Heathcliff and everybody in the story, like, trying to make sense of the fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's just trash. All of it. This is
none of it makes sense.
Addict.
There's no logic.
No. Because that's what happens when you get caught up in that cycle. Like, that's what happened to me, and that's why, like, I was lucky to get out with my life because I would have died.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
A lot, a lot of people, like, and people do. It's what happens.
Like, it ends... Lives both metaphorically and, like, literally. And we see that in the book because, like, we see Hindley's life metaphorically end because of his addiction. And then we see Catherine's life physically end because of the abuse she was suffering from the people around her and the system she was in. Kathy, not Catherine. The names...
Yeah. Not the junior, the daughter. Yeah.
Senior. Like we see that. Like the abuse suffered both from people and the system that they're in literally fuck over the entire
and then even after they die, they are not free.
No.
They are trapped.
Yeah.
Haunting the narrative literally as ghosts. Because you never get out. I think that's what Emily was writing about.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
Yeah.
They never get out. And even then, after she's dead, her abuser is like, "Where are you? Come back to me so I can torment you some more."
God. Fucking Heathcliff. Like, he's just terrible. And like,
then that puts a spin on, like a horrible spin on Kathy's speech about I am him and he is me, because like when you love a person who's an addict, you have these memories of when things were good and you cling to those as like motivation to get through the horrible lows of their addiction spiraling out of control. And that's what she's doing. Like, that's literally what Kathy's doing. Like, because Emily writes Heathcliff as just like such a straight up villain.
Like, he is not a good guy.
She codes him in all the negative stereotype, like a bastard, being a person of color. Like, she codes him in all the negative stereotypes of the time to really be like, yeah, this is a villain that you can't escape. And that was her relationship with her brother, because unfortunately with her, like with family, when your family, so like my ex was an addict, but when it's your family, because like my dad was an alcoholic as well, you can't like stop, you can't turn off your ability to love them. Like it's awful.
Hard. Like there's no getting away from it because family is family, and that is why we have non-contact with certain members of family. Like if they're behaving in a way that is such a detriment to your life, sometimes the only option you have is to go non-contact.
Right. And these women couldn't do that.
No.
Emily
because
they were these women couldn't do that.
At a period of time where women did not have the ability to do that.
Oh,
like,
and they died. They died at the hands of these people.
Yep.
These men.
It's sad. Like it is sad. And I think that summarizes the book.
I did not enjoy the book.
It's sad.
So we talked about Heathcliff. We've analyzed his character pretty thoroughly. Is there anything else you wanted to say about our other characters? Like Nellie or Lockwood or
really
Little Kathy, Big Kathy.
I feel like I've talked a lot on both of the Catherines. I think we could talk about Nellie a bit more because she is our perspective character.
Yeah.
I really like Nellie. I found her to be very interesting in that the only person she really had only negative things to say about was Heathcliff. Like, everyone else, she had at least something nice to say, and Heathcliff, she was like, I pity him, but he sucks. And I think that's her own bias. Like, the narrative is a biased narrative. You cannot 100% trust everything you are being told. But because of that, we end up with a narrative where Heathcliff has nothing about him that's admirable. I think to an extent, we can trust Nellie's perspective because I think to an extent she has nothing to gain from lying to Lockwood about Heathcliff. Especially at this point in her life. Like,
I actually really think she's incentivized to not lie to him about Heathcliff, to be
yeah.
really honest about what a piece of shit he
Yeah,
is.
like she's got nothing to gain.
Like she would be actually like, because I would say, actually I take that back, excuse me. I really do think she's in a position where it would make sense for her to paint him in the best light possible because he is in a position of power here in this dynamic. And the fact that she is just really forthright about how awful he is,
Like, it could very
says a lot.
easily become a detriment to her if it got back to Heathcliff that she was saying all of this bad shit about him.
Exactly. And like, as a reader, so I imagine, obviously, because Emily was writing for the people of her time, they would know that. They would know right away that like a servant does not speak ill like of their master.
Yeah.
Like that's like the default setting. And for Nellie to be really forthright about how awful, with ultimately like very little prompting on Lockwood's part. Like she does not really owe this man anything.
Yeah, like he doesn't even pay
like,
her
very
bills.
prompting.
Like,
No, like he just asks her and she's just like blah 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 blah.
like here's the entire story of his background
Here's the
and
whole
everything
story.
we know about him and Catherine. Here's Kathy. Here's a person you didn't even ask me about, and now you've asked me to put a portrait up of her daughter. Which also, Lockwood definitely had a thing for Catherine that is never actually explored. Because he's not a character. He's a narrative device.
He's a device. Yeah.
Which I think Lockwood could have been a very interesting character if we had more time with him, but because the story isn't told from his perspective, it's told from Nellie's perspective, talking about things that had happened, we don't get to see a lot of Lockwood. I think he could be very interesting, but there's not a lot to say about him beyond he could have been very interesting.
I just, I'm not a huge fan of stories that use their characters as literary devices as opposed to like making them seem like real people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like conflict for the sake of conflict. And a lot of times authors, like even some of my favorite authors, will make like very competent women characters and then make them stupid when it serves the narrative.
Oh my god, that's why so much of romantasy at the moment, because I'm not inherently against romantasy novels, but so much of romantasy pisses me off because of that, because they make these female characters their lead characters, right? This is their main character, their main perspective character, and they make them incredibly competent, and then the second a man is involved, they can't do anything? Excuse me? What?
It's really dumb.
It's weird. I hate
really
it. I hate it so much.
And like conflict for the sake of conflict, and like, okay, you need your characters to go here, but like,
why?
Figure like you need the story to go here, and I've run into that myself. Like when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, so like even in my fan fiction, I'm like, okay, I need my two main characters to fight about something because I don't want them to be together right now. I want her to go off and like have a moment with this other guy, but I can't do that if she and the leading man are like in a good place. I want them to have conflict so that way it's more justified. And the readers don't hate this character for having a moment with this other guy when, you know, she's supposed to be with the leading man. So I'm going to generate this conflict. And sometimes that's really difficult to make it like authentic.
Yeah.
And like, a real place of like, so I get it. Like I do understand why you would turn a character like into a plot device. I get it. It can be really hard, but I also fucking hate it.
I think he could have been a plot device and it would have been fine if there was more to him. But the fact that we get 2 lines every like 10 chapters from him, and I'm like, what? You give me nothing. Give me nothing.
Yeah, like honestly, this is a book about a man who sits down and listens to a woman tell him a story. That's literally all that happens.
That's the plot.
He's a tenant. He goes to his like, so it's so funny because you were doing a summary and I was thinking, I'm like, this is actually a story about a man who has a really terrible landlord. and he's gotten like he's duped into taking a tenancy in this really from this slumlord who is just a horrible piece of shit man who has just like a closet full of skeletons, figuratively and literally.
Literally.
Like that's literally what this is. It's about a renter who's duped into like taking up tenancy for a terrible slumlord, and everybody knows he's a slumlord and hates him, and they're like, "Wow, I don't know why you like rented out this place from this man. He's a piece of shit." You know.
Yeah, so really it's not a story about Catherine and Heathcliff at all. It's a story about Lockwood trying to work out what the fuck is going on because he's rented out a space and doesn't understand.
Yeah, it's like he signed a lease and he's trying to debate whether that security deposit is worth it.
And ultimately he decides it is not. And he leaves.
He made the right choice.
Yeah, as everybody does.
If it turned out that my landlord was Heathcliff, I'd be getting the fuck out too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even... the ink would not have been dry on the paperwork. I would have been out of there. Like...
Because with a landlord like that, there's no way you're getting your security deposit back anyway. Let's be real.
And, like, the fact that the first... Literally, the first thing he does when he comes back to Wuthering Heights after being away... Right, because I was having a discussion about this when I was reading this part with somebody at work... Because we were talking about how Heathcliff made his money. And she reckons he went off and joined the military, but I think he just won it in gambling. Because literally the first thing we see Heathcliff do when he comes back is go to Wuthering Heights and start gambling with, Harrington? No. Hindley. To get Wuthering Heights and to win the deed to Wuthering Heights. Like, he got Wuthering Heights because he manipulated this guy who... treated him like shit, so like, all power to you to take that out on him, but manipulated him into putting his deed up and gambling it away. I think Heathcliff was just a very good gambler. I think that's where the money came from.
Yeah. Yeah, just not a good man.
No.
Not a good dude.
And he manipulates literally everyone. Everyone is just a tool for him. I do not have nice things to say about this man.
No, I don't like him.
Like...
I don't like him.
He's bad.
It's kind of, yeah, so the only other character that I did want to mention was I really did like Hindley's wife. At the beginning of the story. I really liked her a lot. Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah. She seemed like... Again, but... She seemed like a great person, but... Okay, so we link it back to the Moors claiming people. The Moors did not like her.
Right.
Like, she shows up and she gets sick, and then she has a baby and she dies. The Moors did not like her. She was not sticking around.
She didn't belong there.
No.
Yeah. Because didn't he bring her from outside?
Yeah. Like, he brought her back.
Yeah, he brought her from outside.
Because his dad had died. And that's why he came back.
Came to the funeral. Yeah.
And they were like, by the way, I have a wife. And she was like this light and this positivity and like very optimistic. And I think when we look at the characters,
I liked her.
When we look at the cast, we don't see a lot of optimism. And I think the Moors went, you can't stay here. And killed her.
You don't belong here. Yeah, I think that is really what the story is about. Like, this is about Lockwood figuring out that he doesn't belong here. That he needs to get the fuck out of Dodge. Yeah. He needs to forfeit that security deposit and get out.
Yeah, because you either die or you become miserable. Yeah, because
you don't belong here.
Because the only people that belong in the Moors, in Wuthering Heights, are miserable. Like... Heathcliff is not a happy man. He achieves all of his goals, and he is still not happy.
Do we think that because little Catherine is in a better place that she's doomed to die next, then, at the end of this?
I don't think so. I think she escapes. I want to believe she escapes.
Okay.
I think her and Harrington run away somewhere else, and they live.
I hope so.
That's what I want to hope. Because otherwise it is just sad.
Not good.
And I think
Yeah. Well, that's why I hate this book. That's why I don't like it.
I think
That's why I didn't like this book.
Kathy would be happy for her daughter to run off and be happy and live and like gain some of the freedom that she wanted. I think if Kathy had lived, she would have liked her daughter.
Yeah.
I think she would have.
I think she would have liked her. I don't know if they would have had a good relationship.
No, but that's something else entirely.
Right.
Like, I think her and her dad have a great relationship because she is very much like her dad. And I think she has all of Kathy's better qualities. In terms of, like, the perspective of the era. She has all the qualities that Edgar liked from Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kathy would have liked Catherine in the same way she liked Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
In that it was very much a, like, little sister, almost like a pet. Like, not a, like...
So wild.
Yeah. Like, when we look at how Kathy speaks to Isabella, it's not as an equal. They are not equals.
No. No.
She's very condescending in many ways to Isabella. And, in some cases, that is justified because, girl, this man tried to kill your dog.
What? Remind me, what?
So Kathy... Isabella...
Tried to kill Isabella's dog,
No,
right?
Heathcliff tried to kill her dog. Right?
Whose dog?
Isabella's dog. So Isabella
I'm getting confused with the time that Kathy gets bit and has to like convalesce.
Yeah.
I was so confused there for a second.
No.
Okay, because there's a lot of like animal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Trigger warning for anybody who's thinking about reading this book.
There's a lot of
if you
animal
don't
abuse.
like animal abuse, if it really bothers you, don't read this.
No. But Isabella goes to Kathy, sorry, the names. And talks about how she's in love with Heathcliff. And Kathy is like, what the fuck are you on? He sucks! Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. Kathy is very aware that Heathcliff is not a good man.
You know, interesting. I feel like that's probably Emily being like, oh my god, why would you want to be with my brother? Which is like, I just don't see romance in this novel. Like, it's really not romantic.
I have so for my tabs, I didn't choose romance as the title of the tab that I tagged every like love thing. I chose love because I don't think this is a romance story. I think it's a story about love, but not in a romantic sense. It's a story about love within family. And, like, the complicated dynamic, even if they're not, like, siblings by blood, even if we take out the fact that they might be half-siblings, I don't think, like, even though Heathcliff gets really angry and upset when, Kathy is like, I can't marry him, I'm not gonna marry him, this, that, and the other, I don't think she would ever consider marrying him. Because I don't think she sees him in a romantic sense. Like, he's her brother. She's grown up with him. So even in a, like, symbolic sense, like, that is her brother. Mm-hmm. It's not a story about romance. It's a story about love in a more familial form and how messy and complicated it gets.
Yeah, it's about loving an addict. That's really what I think the story's about. Like, so my theme, is that your theme, familial love? You think it's about complicated familial love?
And, like, also nature. I think. Even though nature is not, like, such an explicit theme, I think it still plays an integral role.
I do agree with that, because that ties into my theme of addiction and powerlessness, in that, like, addicts are always trying to reach for what they have no business controlling, and, like, ultimately, like, nature is that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can't. That's the one thing. Like, try as he might to control everything else, that is the one thing. Like, you will never. You cannot. Like, when I talk to people about psychology, I use that allegory a lot, like about feelings and stuff. When I'm talking to kids about, like, oh well, I'm so angry, and I'm like, well, like, you look at the New Orleans weather, right? Like, it's rainy, it's sunny, it's windy, it's hurricane season, whatever. Like, they don't last. It's always changing.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to view your feelings, because it's the same way.
Like
Ultimately, we don't control how
No.
we feel. We have limited control in how we respond to how we feel, but we ultimately don't have power over our emotions.
Yeah.
Just kind of like we don't have control over the weather.
Yeah. Also, Copman, no gaming today. This is our book club that we try to do once a month. So
Hi, couple of man. What's good, friend?
we're talking about Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you cannot control nature. You cannot control the moors. And
No.
as an extension of that, because I will die on the hill that Kathy is an extension of the moors, and she belongs to the moors. The fact that everyone tried to control
So
her
creepy.
added to her death. She died because people tried to
creepy.
control her because she belonged to the moors, and the moors are uncontrollable.
Right. Yeah.
I will die on that
I agree
hill.
with that.
I will die on that hill.
I agree with that. And I do. Yeah. So for me, this is really, aside from being a book about a tenant who rented out a place belonging to a horrible slumlord, I really do think this is a story about addiction and the cycle of basically what happens when you love an addict.
Yeah, and the
you
cycle of
can't escape
abuse
them.
that comes from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really what it's about to me. Okay, so do you mind if we talk about Emily
We can.
and the Brontes?
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else you want to say about the book before we move on from it?
Not really. If I have a thought, we can always come. If we have thoughts, we can always come back to it. But I don't think I have anything more to say outside of the fact that like I wouldn't really recommend this book. I don't think it's a bad book. It's just I don't think I can, in good faith, recommend it as like a good book. I think if I was going to recommend a classic, I would recommend something else. And if I was going to recommend a work by the Brontes, it wouldn't be this.
What situation would you recommend this book in?
I think I would recommend it as if you were looking to study a text. I think it's a text that would be very good to study in terms of like the environment, in terms of like how
Themes,
we see. Yeah, the themes are very good. If you were going to study it in themes, I would recommend it. If you were just looking to expand your knowledge on the canon, I would recommend it. Because I don't think it's a bad book. It's just not a good book.
It's not one that I enjoy reading.
No.
This is not a personal.
No,
This is not a personal.
It's not a book that I would
recommendation
recommend
for me. I don't like
for
it.
enjoyment.
I don't enjoy reading it. But I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad book. I would tell somebody if they were looking. I think it is a person. If you are a writer, if you're a person who writes, I think this is an excellent book to read.
Yeah.
In order to take in and absorb what does and does not work about it as a work of literature.
Yeah.
So that you can apply what you learn from reading it to your own.
It's a good
writing.
text for study.
I think that is it is an excellent blueprint for for what works and what doesn't when it comes to writing a novel. Because this is Emily Bronte's first novel. This is her first published novel. First and only.
Before we go into talking about the history and the girls, I really need to go use the bathroom.
Okay,
so we'll hit a BRB.
Yes. I am going to get myself a cup. I'll be right back, y'all. All right. Well, I hope everybody's had a great Saturday. I really didn't do much of anything. I just hung out at home, rested a lot. The weather's really bad here. It's just super hot. We got a heat advisory. Oh, I slept all day. Yeah, I did too. It's just so hot, friend. It's so hot. We had a really bad heat advisory. Tomorrow is supposed to be even worse. So I'm gonna just be inside. The heat really like drained me. Because I'm a nanny, so I'm outside during the week. Like I'm outside with the kids. Like we're going places, we're doing things, and it's just really taking a toll. Like it's taking a toll. It's so hot. So hot outside.
I am back. Hello.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Ready to talk about the Brontes?
Yes, I know a little bit. I do not know a lot, but I do know some.
Awesome. Well, I watched a really great PBS show film. BBC aired on BBC One called "To Walk Invisible: The Lives of the Bronte Sisters." Drama written and directed by Sally Wainwright, focus on the relationship of the three Bronte sisters, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, and their brother, Branwell.
Yeah.
You can find it on PBS Masterpiece Theater. I do absolutely recommend it to anybody who's looking to learn more about the girls. This is where most of my info comes from.
Yeah, and based on what I know, it's very dramatized. So, like, if you're going to watch it, take that into account.
100%. So, I also went ahead and did, like, a little bit of research just on the sisters and their perspective novels. But I really do think this is an excellent piece of media to consume alongside Wuthering Heights, because if you're looking for drama, Wuthering Heights probably is the dramatized version of their life. But basically the plot of this film, year 1845, Patrick Bronte runs a parish in the fucking wilderness of England or whatever. And he's got his 3 daughters and his son, Branwell. And basically, this is a story about 3 women who were supposed to be cared for by the men in their lives, and they were ultimately failed. Patrick, the father, because he gets ill and is incapable of taking care of his family. And then also their brother Branwell, because he is an addict, an alcoholic. So their father is blind and sickly, and their only source of income is the parish that he runs. And Branwell cannot keep a job, cannot bring in any income. He's having affairs and doing all kinds of ruckus, probably gambling a lot too, like on the side. And can't. And his sisters have to take care of him, have to manage him, take care of him, nurse him, keep him out of trouble, deal with his bullshit.
Yep.
And it's just kind of about their story and how they get into writing to support themselves and to try to get themselves out of these very difficult circumstances. And they all write poems. Charlotte is initially the first writer that kind of takes this on. She finds a bunch of Emily's poems and thinks that they're fantastic, and encourages her to publish them. And then Anne, let's see. So Charlotte writes Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
And then Anne, so she's kind of the one that's like the driving force behind it. Charlotte wrote the most. She did Jane Eyre, Shirley Viette, and
Jane Eyre.
Eyre?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Jane Eyre. Sorry. What did I say? Eyre?
Eyre.
Eyre. Sorry.
It's
Jane
a
Eyre,
very
Shirley,
word that is very British.
Shirley Villette, I think.
I think so.
Villette and the Professor. Emily wrote Wuthering Heights. And then Anne wrote Agnes Grey and The Tenant of Wildfell Hall.
Yeah. And based on my understanding,
And
Anne's works were
yeah.
a lot lighter than her sister's. A lot more comedic in their, like, sort of tone.
Yeah, so they all wrote under a shared pseudonym.
Yeah. The Bell brothers.
And yeah, they wrote under a shared pseudonym. And in the show, it says that Charlotte becomes enraged after Thomas Cotley Newby, Anne and Emily's publishers, tries to pass off The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, a book written by Anne, as being Charlotte's work. And she insists that the sisters travel to London and reveal themselves to be separate authors.
Yeah.
Anne agrees to go, but Emily refuses, wanting to protect her anonymity because she was probably writing about
Yes. Their
Branwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was writing, And so Charlotte and Anne reveal themselves. And yeah, it's really just kind of about that story. Postscript reveals Emily died 3 months after Branwell, which is, I wonder. So, and then Anne died 5 months after her, and that the parsonage was later turned into a museum celebrating the sisters and their work. So, I really think that having watched this film, having read Wuthering Heights, I really do, see, Emily really seemed like a more private person, like of the three sisters anyway.
Yeah.
But she was really writing about what I would consider to be some of the most scandalous kind of material, like of the three, because she was really writing about her own situation, being trapped, surrounded by people who were addicts, being unable to escape them, and literally, like, she was forced to kind of just endure her life, falling into just ruin and horror and not being able to do a thing to stop it. And that, to me, is the real horror of Wuthering Heights. That's the story we're reading.
Yeah, like the fact that there's no control.
That's what we're witnessing.
It's just a spiral.
It's just utter, like, that's the horror to me, like, of this story. The utter helplessness of the characters to do anything to stop their circumstances from just spiraling.
Yeah.
Like, utter helplessness, that, like, in the pit of my gut, like, there are moments when I was reading this novel that I could feel that, as a person who's a survivor of abuse by addicts, just the visceral reaction, like, in my body of, like, some of the moments, like, in this novel. And I'm like, oh, I see you, girl.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you are. And what's so heartbreaking about this story, part of why I really didn't enjoy reading it, is that, like, there was no escape. There was no hope. There was no escape for them. There was no help. They just had to endure. And ultimately, like, they died, like, suffering the trauma of this, carrying it as best they could, shouldering it as their burden as women in a society that just does not give them, like, a fucking inch.
You cannot escape when you cannot own land. You cannot own land. You cannot own your own property. You can't even have a fucking bank account. Everything you own belongs to a man.
And ultimately, these women didn't even get to enjoy the small freedoms that marriage or motherhood would have given them, that they are allowed to have in the society that they live in. Because women are permitted these small areas of control and ownership over these minuscule areas of their lives. And because even in motherhood and marriage, like, you don't get to decide who you marry most of the time. You don't get to decide how childbirth goes for you, how your kids are. You're not in charge of any finances, so you don't know how any of that's going to turn out, like, for your family. You don't know, like, health-wise, like, what you'll come up against, like, or how many kids you'll have, or any of it. But it's something. And these women didn't even get, they didn't even get that.
Like,
they didn't even get that.
they were all very. They were stuck in the situation they were stuck in, and nothing was going to give them an out. And that's the tragedy of it.
Except death.
Yeah.
Except death. And even in death, just like Kathy, even in death,
They're still there.
they haunt the net. They're still here. They haunt us, like these women. And that was what I really wanted to talk about because I was like, oh my God, like even in death, they are not free. These women, these oppressed, tragic, abused women haunt our narrative as modern women for what our lives could be, like if we just sit back and like don't take action to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like it's also horrifying because there is a lot of stuff that just like as human beings on a planet we just don't have power over. There are forces in the world, in the universe, like the Moors, that just claim people, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I think that is probably the most powerful and like amazing thing. And I really do think so. While I didn't enjoy reading this book personally, I do think that there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Yes.
And I do think Emily was really brave for writing about some of these themes.
I think
a lot of women who read this were like, "Oh my God, this is me."
Yeah, I think she was writing for a time that she was in, and like reflecting her lived experiences and the lived experiences of women that she knew, because they really did not have control. Most of them did not have control of their circumstances. And I think it's really interesting to look at the Brontes, who were educated the same way as their brother. Like, they were offered the same education, but they really did not have power over how they used that education. Because, you can learn all you can, but then what do you do with that? What option did they have to do with their education that they were given by their father when they were stuck taking care of their brother's addiction? Like, you can educate someone as much as you want, and I think education is really important, obviously, but if you do not give someone the opportunity to use their education to further themselves, and like use their education in a way for themselves, not for the people around them, for themselves, then they will not see what worth the education is, and they will not be able to use it.
Yeah, I think they were able to do something with it because they were writers. So like thank God for that.
Yeah.
Because it did give them something, but like they were just so utterly powerless to do anything about their circumstances. Like exactly like you're saying, like there was. And the thing about addiction too, the other half of this that is so tragic and sad is that there was just no real understanding around the psychology of addiction, the disease that it is, how it affects people. Like, what's his name? Bramwell was an alcoholic. Yeah, that's his name. Bramwell was an alcoholic, and he was seen, obviously, like by his sisters as the villain, and Emily wrote him into her novel like as the villain, but he was just as much a victim of this oppressive society and system as they were. He definitely had a lot more privilege and a lot more opportunity, but you don't get to pick. But that's why I think it's so important that Emily was writing about forces that are bigger and beyond your control, because like she didn't know, but when you're born with the addictive kind of genetic makeup that traps you in that cycle, and you don't have like an understanding of it, and then you're exposed to these addictive practices, because there is a genetic reason that addictive some people are born with this genetic makeup. Like there is a payoff, it does benefit us. There's also a big cost, like if that goes wrong. And there was no understanding around. There was no conceptualization of any of this, like during the time that all of this was happening to them. So everybody in this story is a victim. And I think I don't know. Like, Emily didn't know that, but she would have been seeing her brother unable to stop drinking
Yeah.
and just enslaved to this addiction. And just, I can't, like, the in that speech that you quoted, where
He is me.
Kathy is like, he is me. And she's seeing, to me, it really sounds like Emily is just crying out into the void, like for her brother, who she knows is trapped in this body that is just betraying him.
Yeah.
In this form that is not under like his control anymore. And she's just like, he is like, she can't abandon him.
No.
She can't just walk
Because, like,
away.
there's the
from
emotional connection of, like, that is her brother. She doesn't want to abandon him. But also, societally, where does she go?
She can't.
Like,
She can't.
There
He owns the house.
Her options are she stays with her brother or she joins a nunnery. That's her
like,
option.
there's nowhere to go.
Maybe she gets to go and be a governess, but, like, even then you're stuck under the employ of someone else. Like, there's not... What happens when you get fired? You go back to your brother.
And it's exactly, and it's fascinating to me that she writes about these characters dying, that she writes about Kathy not being buried with the family, which at the time, like, would have been like, oh my God, you know, like, that's such like a sin, especially like that's such like a bad thing for her not to be buried with her family. And it's so sad. And it ultimately, like, I think within the context of the novel, like, causes a huge disconnect between Kathy and her daughter.
Yeah.
And her legacy, because she's so like, she's just not there. She's not present. Her daughter never, like you were saying, Nina, her daughter never asks about her. She never talks about her. But ultimately, like, maybe for Emily, like, that's what freedom looked like, to just be able to disappear.
To not matter
entirely.
Anymore.
Yeah. And
to
then
not be
people
property,
around her
to not
being
be controlled.
Like, to just escape, which she couldn't do. So it's interesting that she gave her main character that kind of ending.
Yeah.
Because for her, maybe that with her circumstances, maybe that was considered a happy ending. It really does. I don't know how much of this is true, but it really is alluded in this piece of media. And also, like, Emily died 3 months after Bramwell, and Anne died 5 months after her. Like, they all were so close.
Yeah. And then Catherine was left.
Which is so sad.
And she really did do a lot to make sure their work was published and, like, edited. Like, because I have the Penguin Classics edition of Wuthering Heights, and her foreword is still here. Like, where is it? Because I read through it. Her introduction is still in this version of the text.
You mean Charlotte?
Yeah, Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah. You said Catherine. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was confused for a second.
Words.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte. Where is it? Introduction. Which is just, like, her going over different parts of her life and facts about her sister and, like, things that she edited. And, like, it really is. She did so much to try and make sure that her sisters were heard. Biographical notice of Ellis and Acton Bell. And I'm just going to quickly glance over this to see if there's anything in particular that would be of note. Yeah, she, like, straight up says, this was written by my sister. Like, my sister Emily was not a person of a demonstrative character, nor one on the recesses of whose mind and feelings even those nearest and dearest to her with impunity could intrude unlicensed. Emily was a very private person in a world that did not want her to be private.
Like, well, privacy was a privilege.
Yeah. Privacy was a privilege that was given, like, it's the whole...
that was not afforded to women.
Public sphere versus private sphere. The private sphere was offered to mothers and girls. Emily was not a girl. She was an adult woman who did not own her own private sphere. She was a woman who wanted her privacy, who wanted to keep her innermost thoughts to herself, and she wasn't necessarily afforded that. It's sorry, I'm looking at another quote to see if it's relevant to what we're saying.
Oh, take your time. It's fine.
Okay, here's another one about how Charlotte talks about Emily. Under an unsophisticated culture, in artifactual tastes, and an unpretending outside, lay a secret power and fire that might have informed the brain and kindled the veins of a hero. But she had no worldly wisdom. Her powers were inundated to the practical business of life. She would fail to defend her most manifest rights, to consult her most legitimate advantage. Right? So she's saying...
What does that mean?
So what she's saying, because it is very
I don't understand what she's saying.
is she's talking about how Emily was these two extremes, in that within her there was this like drive and like loud and large emotion and like knowledge, but because she was so limited to her sphere, she had no wisdom beyond her life to like adapt beyond what she was. I think is what Charlotte is trying to say about her sister. She wasn't flexible. She wasn't adjustable. She was very fixed in what she was. Right? She could not defend what she wanted because she was stuck where she was. And I think we see that in Wuthering Heights. People cannot fight for what they want in Wuthering Heights because they are so stuck in the moors.
Right. In life, they're stuck.
Like, they cannot escape.
And it's either you adapt or you die.
Yeah.
You have to become what the Moors want you to be, or they'll take you out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have, like, we see it with Francis. We see it with the, like, you can't go out there during a snowstorm. You will die. You have to be like, inside with these terrible people. Yeah. You'll be stuck inside with these terrible people. There is no escape.
Like, the Moors do not give a fuck.
Right.
The Moors are society, essentially.
And neither does anybody else.
Like, no one cares. Society doesn't care that you are a woman who doesn't have control of her life and has to do what the men in her life say. And has to, like, care for the men in your life. You either adapt and defend what you want and go into the feminist movement, because they were born, like, on the precipice of the feminist movement, right? But they're not feminists. Which is interesting.
No.
But, like, you either defend what you wanted, or you are immutable and you stay where you are, and then you die. Like, that is essentially...
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about Emily being a person who would have sacrificed... Ultimately, because, you know, like, within feminism is the freedom that she was craving, to have the privacy, to have what she wanted, to have like a life that was hers, to at least more of a life that was hers to dictate.
Yeah.
And yet, because that was not, she didn't want that either.
No.
So you stay in where you are, and ultimately you
and
succumb.
that, I think, is what Charlotte was saying, in that Emily didn't have the drive or the worldly wisdom. She calls it worldly wisdom. She did not have the knowledge of the world beyond her to fight for what she wanted. So she instead accepted that the world was how it was going to be. Right? She did.
I'm really enjoying listening to y'all talk about this. Thanks, Lin.
Welcome in. We're rambling. We're rambling.
No, it's great.
It's
this
good.
Is what
it's
I
good.
to talk about.
This is
Wuthering Heights. This is the good stuff.
Yeah,
this is the good stuff. Um,
She was very like, she wasn't somebody who had the force to fight for what she wanted, but at the same time, Charlotte saw that she could.
right. Because, like, if you think about it, I think, well, I haven't read, so I'm not a fan of Jane Eyre, and I haven't read, not a fan of Jane Eyre. I don't, what's his name? Rockfordshire?
Whatever his name is, he
Rochester?
fucking
Yeah.
sucks. I think I
Oh my
enjoyed Jane
God.
Eyre more than I
That's a
enjoyed.
romance.
I enjoyed Jane Eyre more than I
That's
enjoyed
a
Wuthering
romance.
Heights, but it again
That's a
is
romance.
like a book of people that you do not like.
Here's the thing, too, is like the whole, here's the thing, right? If these women were trapped in abusive relationships with men, I don't really see how they could write about love that is not toxic.
Yeah.
If that's what you know, like that's why I really thought that Heathcliff was finna be more like it's implied, but it's not in the text. He's just a villain. But I really thought he was going to be a character who his abuse equals love, which is literally what I experienced with my ex because he had been abused by his family. It's like if I'm treating you poorly, that
It
means
means
I
I
love
love
you.
you.
It's like when your parents yell at you, it's because they care. You know, so like if you have parents who yell and scream at you, like you're hashtag blessed. Like, so it's like if I'm treating you badly, that means I give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
Like I really thought that's where the narrative was going. And I see it implied here, but Emily takes it a step further in that she gives us one scene, which I still want to quote. Let me see if I can find it, where he's begging Kathy to come back. And it really makes me think that there were probably moments and scenes where Emily would have said to her brother, would have said to Branwell, would have said to her dad, like, I've had enough. I've had enough. Can't do this. And they would have been like, oh my God, no, come back. I need you. Without you, I will die.
I've got it.
You got it? All right.
Come in, he sobbed. Kathy, do come. Oh, do once more. Oh, my darling, my heart's darling. Hear me this time, Catherine, at last. So he's like on the bed, calling out the window to Catherine to come back in. Is that the
Right.
bit that you wanted, or?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It reads to me like those moments that I would have with my ex. And also like with my father, like to a lesser degree, where it was like, don't go, without you I will die. Because you know, like the addict, they cannot survive, they will not survive their addiction without support,
Yeah.
without people either enabling or, you know, setting limits around like the behaviors that like keep them on this planet. Because if it's just them and their addiction, they'll die.
Yeah. Which
Like
ultimately
that ends in death.
does.
That ends in death, right? Because it just spirals and escalates and then they die.
And that's why
So that's
he can't
really
be
what
happy.
it's giving. Huh?
That's why he can't be happy, because there is no happiness in that cycle.
No, because like your addiction is not it will never give you what you need.
Yeah.
It just kills you. Like the Moors.
Yeah, like the Moors.
Oh,
The Moors will reclaim what it is owed.
Mm-hmm.
The Moors
and I
really
think
were
it's
so interesting.
And I think it's a really clever way to write about it because, like Charlotte is saying, like she's not a woman. She doesn't understand this psychology. She doesn't have any kind of concept of like this being a disease that has like trapped her brother. But in her way, she really found a very beautiful and poetic way to express the struggle that she was facing, like with this man who was supposed to be her provider,
Yeah.
somebody who took care of her, who put her and her sisters first, and he just couldn't.
I have a little Willow on my lap. She's been
Hi, Willow.
demanding scritches for the last 20 minutes. Hi, lady. But yeah, it's like Very interesting. And like Charlotte really did want her sisters to be heard. Like she edited their work and wrote
Just so
forwards and
sweet.
like prefaces for all of their works, even after they passed. Which I find to be very interesting. I like they're very interesting women. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of all I got.
Yeah, I think that's
kind of
the
all I've
end.
got
I think that's all we
about
have to say.
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights.
Read it or don't.
I'd say don't. I'd say read Jane Eyre instead. If you were gonna read a Bronte book, I'd say read Jane Eyre.
I do like having this be like Emily's only published work though. Like if I feel like if you really want to understand Emily Bronte, you should read her book.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't really learn much about Heathcliff or Kathy or any of the people she was writing about, but I felt like the story gave me a lot of insight into her personal struggles. And I think it was a beautiful outlet for the fight that she was fighting that a lot of people are still fighting.
Yeah.
Because addiction hasn't gone anywhere.
It's still here.
It's haunting the narrative.
When is it not?
In the worst way.
So for our next book, we are reading White Tears, Brown Scars by Ruby Hamad. Which is going to be our first non-fiction read.
I'm excited for that one. When do we get to Circle of Friends?
Next year.
Oh,
it's on the list.
To wait a year?
Yes. But it's only like
Why?
a few more months. Because it's part of my 30 books before I turn 30.
It is good. The year is finna end.
Yeah.
The year is finna end soon,
it's on the list of 30 books to read before I turn 30. So we will read it next year. We just gotta get there. I have a list of
the
books.
mods don't take me in the meantime.
I have a list of books to read this year, and it's not on this year's list. I plan out what books I want to read at the start of the year, and I'm like, I'm gonna read this book, these books, and that might change within the first few months, but like, these are the books that I'm getting through. So.
Well, now we don't have to read Wuthering Heights.
No.
We can cross that shit off. Never have to read it again. Now we've read it. Before the now we've read it. It's over. It's over. We don't have to ever touch it again.
I might read it again at some point just to like.
I won't. I'm
from
done.
a teaching perspective, but like I won't. For pleasure, no, never. But yes, our first nonfiction read is what we're doing next. If people are interested, the link to the Discord is there. We will also be on Fable. There is a link for the Fable. On the Discord, so if you'd like to join us, again. Please feel free. Yeah. I'm gonna find.
Thank you, Emily, and goodbye.
Yeah, we're never gonna read your work again. Goodbye.
Know, which makes me feel really bad to say because now I'm gonna have a nightmare of like a tiny hand through a window. It's like read my book again. Let me in. Open the door. It's so cold outside. No, Kathy, no. Emily, go away.
Who is on for me to raid? Yeah, we might read the other Bronte sisters' works, but we're never gonna return to Wuthering Heights. And that's okay. I don't think the Moors want us to return.
Emily just standing outside your window holding her book. It's raining.
I'm gonna see if anybody's playing Dragon Age.
Horrifying. Horrifying, Linlin. Sorry, I choked on my drink. Oh my god. Thanks for the chat, friend. Thanks y'all for joining us. I will see y'all next time. I gotta go get some water. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Get y'all later.
I'm still looking for someone for us to raid. Maybe a cozy game would be good. Who's playing Tiny Bookshop? That might be good. No one? Okay. the struggle at the end when nobody is really streaming. If anybody has anyone they'd want to recommend for us to raid, you could do that as well. Feel free. Let's see. I guess we're going back to Stardew Valley. We'll find someone playing Stardew Valley to raid. Let us raid. Hi, girl. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Let's raid this person. I don't know their vibes, but let's go say hi. Yeah, let's go say hi. They're doing some Stardew Valley multiplayer. Yeah, if you want to join us for our next raid, please feel free. If not, I will see you guys maybe on Tuesday, probably on Friday. Not Friday, on Wednesday. I'll put up a schedule at some point in the next few hours. So, bye!